Welcome back. Today's lesson is called filter mechanism. Now, what I want to explain today is that there's an idea that we focus on as men that we tend to overlook in women. It's sort of something that we think in ourselves that we're the only people who have it, or maybe I think that I'm the only guy that has it, and then we tend to not really think about whether or not women have a problem in the same area. And what I want to do now is I want to shed some light on what problem that women have that you can see, and whenever you start to recognize this, you get to take one step closer to knowing women better than they know themselves, which ultimately is your goal with this material and learning the Tao of Badass. So you've probably heard of, in one of the previous videos, me mention something called approach anxiety, and if you haven't heard of it already, then that was probably your first time being exposed to it. Now, approach anxiety is the idea that when we want to go up and talk to someone, we have this immediate recoil saying, I don't want to do that, I'm going to get rejected. Or I'm afraid that maybe they're going to reject me or something. So because of this immediate recoil, we have a really hard time getting over that. But the problem is that because we have an approach mechanism, we're expected as men to approach. So if we have a faulty approach mechanism, then that means that we aren't very good at approaching women, which means we're not very valuable men. Well, women have something similar. And it's called a filter mechanism. A filter mechanism in women essentially is the same thing but backwards. Women have to be able to filter out weak men from confident men. And if they can't tell the difference between confident men and weak men, then they are considered not very valuable women. This is one of the major fears that women have, is that they're going to attract losers forever, or they won't be able to tell the difference between someone who's really confident or someone who's faking confidence. And because of that, they're going to end up with a guy that doesn't really care about them, that cheats on them, that hurts them emotionally, and things like that. So because women have this filter mechanism, you know that they have a major job as women to filter out weak and unconfident men. Now, they do this in a number of ways. There's a couple different types of tests that they give men, which one is called a congruence test, and one is called a compliance test. And with these two different tests, they try to figure out whether or not you are confident as a man. If you are confident and you pass those tests, usually they sort of drop their guard a little bit and they open up to you, and then they believe that you're just a confident man. They believe they've found a man they've filtered out all the weak men and they've found a man who's confident. So they feel really good about that. But if you turn out to not be so confident and you're faking it, then they tend to clam up and shell up forever, and sometimes they'll feel like you tricked them into liking you, which is a major problem. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about if you were a woman, let's say for example, and you were trying to filter out weak men and just the guys who are faking it, what kinds of guys would you be filtering out? What's one quality in a guy that you'd be like, I don't want guys like that because I know those guys are pretending to be confident, but they are not actually confident guys. One quality you might be interested in filtering out is faking body language. Basically acting like you're tough shit, essentially. One way of saying this is saying that you're too cool for school. That's one way we describe it. Now, what happens then is that as men, a pretty amateur mistake, and if you look at other guys doing this, it's really obvious, but you probably don't see yourself doing it as well from time to time, which is definitely the case. You definitely have, we all do this, including myself. We do this, have this too cool for school, like I'm too cool to do that kind of thing, or I'm too cool to approach women, I'm just going to sit here and women should approach me, or whatever, A truly attractive man would have women all over him, so I'm just going to sit here and wait for the women to come all over me. So, but what happens is women look over and they see this quality in a man and they realize that you're pretending because you don't have women all over you, and therefore you're just sitting there acting like you are an attractive guy. So they know immediately when they see you do this that you're not actually an attractive guy, and they need to steer clear away from you so that they know that they filtered out weak men. Especially, and if you do this especially in an environment like a bar, you'll notice that women will test you more. They'll be meaner to you than if you were just to be lighthearted and talking all the time and not really there to sort of have women come to you in that sort of sense. Now, we've been sort of brainwashed into thinking that the best way to meet a woman is to go to a bar and have a woman approach you and like you, right? But you probably notice that doesn't really happen that much. Every once in a while it will happen, but typically whenever it does, it throws up a red flag for me, and I'm like, well, maybe there's something wrong with this person, because usually they wait to be approached by men. And if they don't sit there and filter out men, if they're actually approaching men, that means that they're trying to have an approach mechanism. And if they're trying to have an approach mechanism, it means they probably have a really weak filter mechanism, which means they'll probably be manipulated by men in the future and most likely will leave or cheat on you. So you want to recognize what these qualities are they're trying to filter out. But mostly what they're trying to do is find guys who are faking it and see through that. Now that you know that that's a major concern for women, and I mean a really major concern for women, you know that if you are faking it, they will try to find that out. The best way to get past that and to sort of graduate to the next level and be attractive to lots of women is to become actually attractive, to really believe that you are attractive. And it's kind of the underlying concept to this entire program, is helping you understand that you are attractive. Once you do that, you're not faking confidence, and you will be able to get past this filter mechanism that a lot of women have. You also won't have to pretend like you're something that you're not, and you also won't have to sort of be a part of a community like a pickup artist community or something that will make you feel kind of icky at times, and sort of misogynistic and feeling like you're treating women like they're objects. And so ultimately it will get you what you want and will give you very, very strong results in the future, but you have to know this concept first so that you know why women are testing you and why women are even going through all this trouble, and why it is that when most women are approaching you, there's typically some underlying concept, like they feel like they're not attractive enough to be approached, or they try to play the male gender role more than you'd like, things like that. So go ahead and think about that for a bit. Think about one idea or one concept that you believe women are trying to filter out, and try to recognize that when you go out next time to a bar or some kind of a social setting, and look around and just try to figure out which guys women are probably trying to filter out. Go ahead and do that. Write that quality down now at the end of this video, and go ahead and comment with what quality you think most men have that women are trying to filter out. Go ahead and comment with that below, and I will sort of correspond back and forth and let you know what I think about it. Thanks a lot, and then look for another video in the next few days here, and make sure that you keep on chugging, because we're getting closer here. It's great.